Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Dreamhack Winter 2013, day number 3. This is it. The final day is upon us. That means at the end of today, we will have our champion here for Dreamhack Winter 2013. We're at 4 teams right now. We'll be down to only 1. With that said, I'm Breaking CBK.
I'm Beef.
And we have a great set of matches for you guys. We're going to be kicking it off. First things first, our first semifinals. We have Too Much Sugar going to be taking on Denial eSports here in a best out of 3.
Yeah, this should be an absolutely fantastic match, Breaky. Both of these teams considered to be in the top 5 right now. Both of them probably in that 5-3 range, not with Lions and Stay Green in the top 2. So this should be relatively evenly matched, but both of these teams have shown massive flashes of brilliance in the past month or so. And coming into this one, they both have a lot of momentum. TMSR able to take the top of their group. Denial wasn't quite able to take out SG, but they battled through the BYOC match yesterday, and they're able to make it here right now. A 1 best of 3. One of these two teams going to our grand finals, Breaky.
Yeah. One of these two teams going to be going to the main stage, of course, at the Dream Arena for at least the later part of matches of the grand finals. You know, Denial eSports especially, obviously we casted all those matches, but I got the chance to talk to ProBusk after their victory over Shit Happens to get to this point, and they're confident. They're feeling good about facing Too Much Sugar. He was making the point that, you know, against Lion Esports Club, against State Green, they might not feel as comfortable, but against Too Much Sugar, they feel a little more comfortable playing against them. So they're definitely happy with this matchup and how it all played out. So they're feeling pretty good. And, you know, also earlier when we interviewed Moon Meander, he made the point that he actually respects Denial eSports. He thinks that some teams even underrate them to an extent. So that's going to be, I'm sure Too Much Sugar is definitely going to be prepared going up against these guys.
Yeah, there's a real juxtaposition between the LAN veterans here in TMSR with so many appearances here at Dreamhack and other events, and the rookies here in Denial. And it's really going to show right here as we get into this game, Breaky.
Yeah, with that said, we are in game number 1. Let's jump in here. Let's take a look and see what the hell is happening. So as you can see, we are already 3 picks deep on either side, starting the next tier of bans. But a quick recap here. The banning phase went like this. It was Sandwraith, Warbeast, Parasite, Keeper of the Forest is how the bans look. So Sandwraith and Parasite taken out by TMSR. Warbeast and Keeper of the Forest taken out from Denial eSports. But yeah, that Sandwraith first ban, I mean, they do not want to give that to Flensmeister. And then Slapped plays a great Parasite. They're not giving him that either. So, you know, Swinnemelons, you mentioned yesterday, he was talking about the point that Denial eSports, they seem a little one-dimensional even with their hero picks sometimes. So those two heroes, very, very potent heroes of theirs.
They definitely have their comfort heroes, and when you're going to go ahead and focus on the Sandwraith and the Parasite, it does leave others open, and we'll talk about those in a second. But Breaky, of course, the picks that have come out so far, Ophelia into a Scout, so definitely going to be one that Mickey's extremely comfortable with. Then going into a Pestilence and an Engineer here for TMSR, and I mean, I don't think there's more of a comfort hero than Slicks on Pestilence right now. He's been making absolutely gigantic plays, not only at this event, but on Haunt Tour cycles back home and online. So Slick's going to be very comfortable there. Of course, you're most likely going to have your boy Moon Meander playing that Engineer, and then, of course, Ophelia to be played by Tankafet. No worries right there. On the other side, though, I'm seeing those comfort heroes coming out once again, notably the big man, Tundra, making an appearance.
Exactly. ProBusk has been playing a lot of Tundra recently. You know, it seemed like it popped up maybe 2-3 weeks ago, Cycle 6, and then going into all throughout Cycle 7, Denial eSports was running their Tundra on ProBusk. He plays it fantastic. Like I kept going back to when we started seeing this hero again. This hero had God tier status. Not a whole lot was changed since then in terms of the hero itself. Yes, his cold shoulder was nerfed with the whole, it becomes physical now rather than magical, or vice versa, actually. Anyways, the point being, a slight nerf there, but still, the Shiver is still one of the best tools in the game in the right hands, and ProBusk knows what he's doing, to say the least, when it comes to using that tool. You mentioned Tempest being picked out, played by Slapped most likely, and then Scout coming out here. Now, they are known for running that short lane Scout as well. Flensmeister does to play that Scout from time to time, so it is by no means an obvious suicide Scout coming out here from Denial eSports, so it's going to be interesting to see what that ultimately turns into. Whoa! Look at that pick. First thing, so we got the bands Kraken, Hag, Bubbles, Wild Soul, Drunken Master, and Rally. But Pollywog Priest, it's been a while, man. It's been a while.
It absolutely has. I mean, some people were talking about maybe bringing out the Polywog Priest for somebody like Cat Lomain or Architiger or something. But nope, it's going to be TMSR that busts out the Polywog here. And, you know, he kind of goes hand in hand with a hero like Witchslayer. When you're talking about high CC heroes that are really going to be able to shut down some of these more elusive guys, like a Wretched Hag or a Scout, you got to have Polywog Priest up there on that list. TMSR is going to come out here and take a big risk by paying off. Okay.
All right.
Really big risk because they're going push.
I mean, Polywog Priest usually, when he's picked up nowadays especially, he usually screams a push. I mean, he's usually part of, if you're going to be going for more of a cheesy push style strategy as it's labeled. With the Balthagor final pick, that pretty much makes the point that, yes, Too Much Sugar is looking to push against Denali Esports here. That on top of the affiliate, obviously. They got an NG Pesty for that mid lane. I'm curious how are they going to lane this, actually? Because... So they got are they going to suicide what are they going to do? An aggressive duel lane?
I think it'll end up being a Polywog Priest, probably in a solo.
Okay.
It's either going to be either the mid or the short lane, and then they'll probably long lane the Pestilence as well as the Engineer, maybe even with an aggressive pseudo tri-lane. But I'm going to say it right now, Breaky, I absolutely love the way that TMSR went about this draft. You pick up the Polywog, could be part of a pushing lineup, maybe even could not be. Then you see that Empath is going to be the pick coming out of Denial, hero with very little anti-push. And you look at this lineup between Scout, Empath, and even Tempest, there's not a ton of anti-push. You don't have somebody like that Pyromancer or that Torturer that's just going to be nuking waves down. They finish it out with Master of Arms to gain a little bit of anti-push, but overall, they're going to have a very hard time defending the aggressive amounts of pushing potential from this Legion team.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm pretty sure it's safe to say this caught Denali Esports off guard to a little extent. I mean, who would have thought Too Much Sugar would have busted out a push strategy like this? You know, we talk about this kind of play style all the time where if you're a team that maybe you feel outmatched going into it, you know that you're the underdogs coming in, maybe bust out something like this. Try to catch them off guard, you know, maybe in a best of the one series especially. This is the semifinals here at Dreamhack Winter 2013. This is game number 1 in a best of 3. Too Much Sugar is maybe even valued as the better team in a lot of people's minds than Denali Esports going in. So Too Much Sugar really, I do wonder if this is them really respecting Denali Esports, or they just simply, they just want to try something different, just knowing that these are solid players to just kind of set them off a little bit right here.
I think it's definitely at least a little bit about that respect, Breaky, but it's also about how you play a best of 3 as opposed to a best of 1. Probably not a strategy that TMSR would have busted out in the BO1, but with the first game, even if they lose here, they still have that cushion to make a 2-0 comeback. And if it does work, it works. You put yourself in a great position. But as we do start this one off, Breaky, I think we actually have the polls that are going to be making a return today, trying to gauge who we do really have coming out as the fan favorites here. And we definitely have probably 2 of the bigger fan favorite teams. But if you do want to vote, of course, get over there on Twitch chat. Type exclamation TMSR, exclamation Denial. That'll get you your link to Twitter. And look at that. Current ranking already there. TMSR, 74%. So showing that although Denial has that emerging fan base, TMSR, they got the star power.
Well, both of these teams definitely have a lot of streamers on either side. You got Moomiander, Keizu. I know Haxford has definitely streamed in the past quite a bit. And then obviously on Denali Esports, you got the likes of ProBusk, Zlapt, of course, and even support streams every now and then. So the battle of the streamers, definitely both these teams have a lot of fan base. That's what we're talking about just going into that. But yeah, Too Much Sugar, it's safe to say. They're so far at least a fan favorite here. Definitely keep voting for that, guys, if you haven't, though. And we'll keep that poll updated all throughout the series even to see who you, the fan, are voting for in terms of winning this series. But yeah, 74% for Too Much Sugar, so
pretty
the fans feeling pretty good about them. But so far to start things off, both teams going to be going to their own jungles, really wanting to protect it right here, and neither side is going to run into each other as a result of that. But yeah, this is going to be fun to watch, man. Haxerin played Balthagor. I mean, Haxerin on Balthagor. Didn't think I'd be seeing that, but Keizu on Polywog Priest even. You got Slicks, of course, on that Pestilence, Moon on the Engineer, and then Tankafet on the Ophelia. So, but yeah, it's funny seeing players like Keizu and Haxerin on these heroes that we're not used to seeing them on, obviously. But as far as the lanes go, again, as we're talking about, I'm pretty sure, it's setting up to be a pseudo tri-lane here. Aggressive coming out from Too Much Sugar. So Denali Esports, they're smart enough. I'm sure they're maybe expecting this going to be coming out. So how are they going to lane initially is the big question mark. They are setting Empath, Master of Arms to the top lane with Tempest in his own jungle. So they feel like they can contend with this, actually. And I'm very curious if that's actually going to be the case or not, because this NG Pestilence Ophelia, that is a dangerous trio of heroes, and Too Much Sugar, they love running the aggressive trial lane.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Trying to get that aggression going nice and early. I do want to point out one thing here. In the middle lane, Polywog Priest, if you take a look at his items, he is cut heavily for a bottle right now, Breaky. Going to be trying to just get about 5 CS here before he can get that bottle, and then really start to talk about rune control. Moonmeander emphasized when I've talked to him that rune control is really what dictates the pace of this middle matchup and can dictate the pace of the early game. You get an Invis or a Haste Rune that's going to be able to set up a gank early on. You can help and win not only your own lane, but also one of those others. So going to be really rushing that, whereas Tundra on the other side will be focusing on more of your standard items, but we'll see. And then also a very early lane ward from Moonmeander actually here in the bottom lane. So Balfagor definitely going to be able to get a little bit additional vision from Tundra. If he was to come in and try to gank, maybe at that quick level 6, Balfagor might be able to spawn that out. So definitely trying to protect Balfagor right now.
I'm keeping an eye on this jungle situation because Tempest so far, he's still in the jungle. Obviously, so is Ophelia, but they're going to be running out of camps here in the very near future. Now, in fact, after these camps right here, they're going to not have any camps to go to. So it's going to be interesting to see how they interact with one another. And I'm pretty sure Ophelia also not getting the best spawns to start. I'm not sure what this one was over here, but not going for any type of gank right off the bat. This happened to be an Ogre camp, not obviously the best tool for ganking with either. So the spawn's not necessarily the best. Gonna wait for that 2-minute mark, though. We'll see if maybe Minotaur or Skeleton King is gonna spawn here, or even if it does, pending some blockage. It doesn't look like that's gonna happen, though. But Tempest, again, he's realizing, okay, Ophelia's in my jungle. What am I gonna do? This is gonna be interesting to see, once again, how this picks up. I'm waiting for that 2-minute spawn. Ophelia finds Empath, actually. They're going to kind of say hi to one another. Empath actually eating through the trees to go across. It puts the wall up, and he blocks the spawn right there. How about that? That's what Ophelia was trying to protect. But Empath being played by support, he actually blocks the spawn. That's just heads-up play right there.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. 100 mana to make sure that spawn is blocked. Going to continue being able to harass Ophelia. And Ophelia forced to take over a Wolf Commander, but Tempest actually zones him out of the jungle. So, all right, Tankafed is continuing to have an extremely hard time right now.
Yeah.
But definitely not looking good for him. It is looking all right for Polywog Priest here in the middle lane. Was able to get that bottle, but Tundra was able to get the rune control with an Invis bottled up for himself. Won't be able to use that really when he gets level 6. He's not going to have the time for it most likely, but definitely something that you've always got to consider, having that Invis rune here. And, I mean, in terms of the CS, it's looking all right now for both of these players. It looks like Probusk with just a little bit of an advantage. So, Polywog Priest, you definitely really don't expect him to have any kind of an advantage here, at least until level 6. And then it becomes kind of dicey as either one could kill each other.
Yeah, he's obviously that very dangerous hero at level 6. He's got the Ward Trap and in a good player's hands now. And it's nothing against Keizu, but again, he's not playing Polywog Priest often. I'm sure maybe in scrims, but it's just different at that tournament competitive level. So, you know, we know Polywog Priest players in the past. You know, No-Tail definitely comes to mind right off the bat. Beautiful, beautiful ward traps. I mean, with a player like that, they've just done it so repetitive, it becomes muscle memory in terms of ward trapping. So I'm actually very intrigued to see how Keizu does this game in terms of setting up those ward traps, because it's by no means the easiest thing to do. And we'll see, especially when he hits that level 6 mark, if that's going to be the case. But with that said, I believe Tundra is able to cold shoulder out of the ward trap. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe he should be able to. So if he happens to get ward trapped, he might still be able to get out of there. But anyways, I'll have to keep an eye out for that. How's the bottom lane going? We got Balfagor 16-1, Scouts 22-4. So Mickey is managing a beautiful time at this bottom lane. Obviously, Ophelia's down here now, but still only level 2. It's very early on for him. I don't think we're going to be seeing any ganks coming out in the near future on a Scout. So Mickey's loving life down here at the bottom lane, and this goes back to, I mean, the setup as a whole from TMSR. I mean, this is a lineup, you obviously, this was premeditated. This wasn't a reaction lineup that oh, let's just try Balfagor Polywog Priest. No doubt they had this plan going, and I'm sure they talked about it for over the night or whatnot. But so far, I don't know if it's going as planned for Too Much Sugar.
Well, I mean, this is kind of the team where you don't expect them to have a beautiful laning phase. Like, you don't expect them to come out at 10 minutes with a gigantic advantage here. You expect them to build that advantage when they start grouping up as a team, bring together the Polywog Priest, the Balfagor, and the Ophelia, and start knocking those towers down. Individually, their heroes are not necessarily the strongest at laning, and especially this Balfagor versus Scout matchup. Scout's able to put in a lot of damage, went to lane with some good regen, but up top, Breaky, looks like Master of Arms is in some trouble. Pestilence has an impalement, but gets stunned from Empath, and now Empath could be the one that's in trouble.
Yeah, he is in a lot of trouble. He does have a wall, though. In fact, he's going to run back in. He's going to try to turn this. He puts the wall up. He blocked up Pestilence. He has a Slate coming up, and Engineer's going to fall. Support going man-man right there. The balls are big on him, man. Holy crap. He just completely turned that around right there. I thought for sure he was just going to wall and run away. But no, he knew that they could do the turn kill, and that they did right there.
My God, the balls are big indeed, Breaky. I mean, you're sitting there talking about Empath, oh, he's in trouble. Nope. Yeah. Support going to be able to turn that one around to easy peasy and then gets killed by neutrals. That was intentional. He did buy out before that. Support's always been a big proponent of sometimes the quickest way to get back into the base is to just go ahead and take a death to neutrals. After you have spent out on your gold, you lose nothing, and you just cut a little bit of time right there. Does hurt your stats a little bit, but doesn't give the enemy team a kill. So
I don't think he's too concerned about that. I mean,
yeah, not a Dreamhack winner. There's a lot of money on the line,
especially as a support player. I mean, hell, he's they're used to dying a lot of the time, so. Not the biggest deal, but yeah, that was definitely on a purpose. Want to simply get back to base. Get the boots and run back out. Bottom rune going to spawn right there. It happens to be Hastered, and Engineer all of a sudden realizing this might have been a bad move to contend for it, but Ophelia is nearby. In fact, going to port back Engineer, and he's just going to be able to go back to the wall. But now Ophelia's left by herself as Scout opens. He does not have a marksman shot. It doesn't matter. He tries to get himself killed by the newts. Not enough, though. Mickey picks up the kill, and Mickey is 350 gold per minute right now on the Scout. He has the early Ghost Marchers, and once again is looking strong. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. This lineup on the Legion team, it is more of a build-up, give it a little bit of time in the early game stage, and then start grouping up and pushing, but there's only so much of a lead you want to give up early on, and it is starting to get to that fine line where, okay, I mean, if we don't start pushing soon and taking out towers, then we're actually going to get completely out-farmed because they are not out-carrying this Hellborn team by any means.
No, you're absolutely right here, Breaky. Denial is taking advantage of really the one opportunity that they had in this game to try to seize an advantage before the onslaught of push comes out, and they're doing it. They're winning the lanes that they had the potential to win, and they're doing it in a very decisive fashion. And perhaps most importantly, they're shutting this Ophelia down right now, Breaky.
Yeah.
She really wants to get level 5, maybe even level 7, so that they can get multiple creeps and knock these towers down really, really quick. Go into a lane, and all of a sudden you're dead with 2 towers. She's level 4, 7 minutes into this game.
Yeah.
Tankafed at 150 GPM, and he's continuing to have very struggle farm. And this is exactly what you need to do. Up top, they're going to try for Pestilence once more.
Yeah, they're going to go for the wall. Not coming out just yet. He's not going to use it. He knows that they're not going to be able to get the kill. Just wants to conserve the mana on the cooldown, and he decides to let him go. Tundra's up here, though, ready with an avalanche. Where's the Shiver, by the way? Okay, it hasn't been spawned just yet. He doesn't use that cooldown, so they're waiting to see if they can maybe get this Pestilence or perhaps the Polywire Priest to overextend. Polywire Priest, though, yeah, he's just trying to help push back that top lane. In the meantime, at the bottom lane, you got Engineer joining Balfagor, but Scout realizes something's up, and he's actually going to fall back before Ophelia even gets in there to set up a gank. So Denial Esports, they're playing very smart here. Obviously, they came to play as both teams did, but Denial Esports is really looking good here in game number 1, and definitely the strategy working for them in terms of locking down the tri lane, forcing that adjustment out of Ophelia. You're just mentioning Tankafet's farm is just not great at all, and that has a lot to do with the adjustment. Bottom lane, they're pushing, but here come the TP's beef.
Yeah, they certainly are going to go in right here. Scout trying for the marksman shot. Going to go for number 2 right here, and will get it on Balfagor, but of course, not doing too much damage. There's a charge shot onto Ophelia, though. She's going to take a little bit of slow, but is it going to be enough? And there's the wall. She is going to go down. Hell on Newerth coming out, though. The turnaround. Tempest is going to die immediately here, Breaky.
Yeah, Balfagor is chasing them out. He just used Super Critical doesn't help, though. He needs the mana for turnaround with the Avalanche. This is a battle of turnaround right here. And now it's Denial Esports for the piercing charge. Just not enough. The 45 life. But here comes Scout. The auto attack. He only needs 1. Can he get it? Yes, he can. Down goes Balfagor. And Mickey's going to run away. He should be fine. No mana on Polywalk Priest. And Engineer, not much he's going to be able to do. In fact, Scout wants another kill. But no, Polywalk Priest will be fine. So again, the battle of turnarounds right there.
Wow.
It seemed like TMSR was all of a sudden making something happen. Beautiful hell on Newerth. It basically hit everyone. I think that was 80 plus charges. Actually, I don't know if it was. I don't know if I saw the minions. Anyways, it did a lot of damage. Then we saw the Avalanche come out, and of course, Tundra led the way for his team to kind of return right there. And the lead grows a little bit for the Hellborn team. Not a 4-1 hero kill lead, but again, it's even bigger really because of the makeup of these teams right here. Scout now is at 353 gold per minute, and he's not slowing down anytime soon, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was going to say right before that team fight, they're doing a great job of really making sure the push doesn't occur, but then they were even split pushing the top lane a little bit. I'm like, you don't really want to engage into this TMSR lineup. That's giving them a little bit of a chance is but the balls are big once again. They do engage. Now Ophelia likely going to be dropping right here. Scout's going to try for another chase. There's the Ghost Marchers activated. Tankovet's going to get the jukes, and he is able to get out of there. Now Scout has to run. He doesn't have an invis.
Yeah, the Vanish is not going to be able to be used because he's out of mana. They're collapsing, and Mickey perhaps a little too overzealous right there. I mean, yeah, he was chasing with 0 mana, and TMSR appropriately collapses on top of him. That is a big kill, and the more I'm looking at this picture too, I keep focusing on the Scott, his farm, and overall, but Master of Arms is actually struggling. He's only at 230 gold per minute, and this is Flens Meister playing this Master of Arms. The idea that they want him to play more of that carry route at least perhaps, not having the best to start, and now we see this push starting to come together for TMSR. The Bladed Griefs on Balfagor.
They're going to try to engage again here, Breaky. Tundra is invis up here on the front lines. He was looking for a setup, but you know what? If they can stop the push without even engaging while Tempest is pushing the top, because this tower is going to go down right now, Breaky.
There is a port coming in. Will it be denied? Pestilence is there. No, will not. He attacked just a second too early. And Slaps gets credit for the tower kill. So, yeah, I mean, that was big for Denali Esports. The fact that they got the top tower and they were able to prevent the bottom, as you said, even without engaging right there. So, you kind of question maybe TMSR a little bit, but at the same time, perhaps they're feeling the jitters from that previous fight here at the bottom lane, that they just don't feel confident. I mean, the initiation is pretty damn strong here in the Hellborn team. And speaking of initiating, they find Polywar Priest in the jungle. Their piercing shards on top of the Avalanche. The marksman shot flying out despite the Ophelia's touch. Polywog Priest will still go down, and now Engineer's in a lot of trouble. The wall off right there. Moomianer has nowhere to go but death. 2-for-0 exchange, and now they're going to push middle. They're pushing into TMSR's lineup right here.
They absolutely are, and this is one way that you can really get an advantage, is to push the pushing team. Like, they fight with momentum at a tower. They are not necessarily able to fight as 2 or 3. They don't port in really well to defend these towers, and you saw it right there. Denial is executing this one perfectly right now, Breaky. Yeah. They are definitely looking good, and TMSR, they had one shot in this game. And this was an all-in strategy. You need to take a big advantage in towers, in map control, and in momentum. This team does not come back very easily.
They don't. I mean, maybe if Pestilence was the star over here and his farm was actually pretty phenomenal, but that's just not the case. 275 gold per minute. It is solid, but definitely, again, not where you want it to be in terms of having that chance of, okay, the push isn't working, well, at least we can rely on this. So they exactly that all-in term that you use. This really is more that all-in side of things for TMSR. And speaking of that, they group up in the middle lane. They know that window's already closing, so they're going to try to make a push happen here. Wards are up for Polywog Priest, so they're ready at least. And you see Tempest, though, he gets swarmed. But the Hellborn team, once again, they are here to defend. And I know you mentioned off the bat that the counter push isn't the best, but with the final big Master of Arms, them having the piercing shards already, it actually is pretty solid. I mean, we are seeing that here already early on in this game when the piercing shards clearing up, at least taking away half of the life of the creeper right there, doing some harassment. So TMSR, are they going to actually try to keep this going here? I think that, I mean, I guess they don't have much of a choice, but...
Yeah, I think they feel pressured into it right now, Breaky, and Denial, their map movement has been phenomenal, getting into position really early so that they can utilize the counter push that they have. The piercing shards and the acid bomb. Once more, the acid bomb going to be going down right there. And like you said, it's easy to underestimate those piercing shards, but they do work. Going to go thrown out one more time. There's the Polywog ward, so TMSR is finally committing to this.
Yeah, they are, but look at how fast those wards are dying. Smart play there from Denial. In TMM matches, a lot of people panic, start running away as the wards do a lot of damage. Denial's like, guys, the wards drop in 1 or 2 hits. Let's just kill them. They fall very quickly right there. So no push coming out of TMSR in the end. And while that was happening, Scout was just pushing the top lane. Finally, Pestilence going up there, but by that time, Scout's already running away. He is more than fine. He has an Energizer. He has Ghost Marchers. He's even looking for a kill right here. If he finds Engineer by himself, that could be very possible, but Engi's just going to hug that tower smartly. So not going to be any kills coming out. But again, it's rinse and repeat here for Denali Esports. The lead just continues to grow. Master of Farms. His start, again, wasn't the best early on. It's growing at least 280 GPM. He, too, is even going for an Energizer, it looks like. So going to be overlapping the Energizers right here. And then on top of that, by the way, they got a Portal Key on Probusk. Playing the Tundra, and I'm also curious what is Slap's going to be going for. By the way, Slap's went Ghost Marchers. We didn't mention that. Not often you see the Ghost Marcher build, but he wants it for that aggressive, being able to get in there style of play. So
I think even more so than that, it might be to try to phase through Balfagor minions. Getting surrounded and slowed by those is just really deadly when you are that Tempest. A little bit more of that immobile hero, so definitely a solid pickup right there, but And Breaky, right now, TMSR, they've not been able to build up any momentum. And a lot of people, when they talk about this team, they talk about one of the reasons that they struggled really early on during the formation of this team was maybe because of the lack of central leadership. Yeah. You don't have that one really dedicated leader, an Insania, a Swindlemelons, somebody at this point that's going to be able to rally your team back together and say, guys, we're looking bad right now, but let's bring it in. Take 2 seconds and make a pause and really rally the team up. Right now, TMSR doesn't appear to have anyone like that, and they're really going to have to focus up here if they want to make some kind of inroads back into this game. Yeah. It starts with just building one little bit of momentum. They need a tower, but they haven't gotten any. 15 minutes in, no map vision. They need something here, Breaky.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point, because when you think about it, obviously you had Slicks. He was the captain initially when the team was first formed, and most on tour, but it wasn't until this last cycle, actually, that Haxerin stepped up as the new captain. And again, I don't know what happened behind the scenes there, whether or not that was his decision wanting to step up, or just a team decision as a whole, or for whatever, but yeah, it still stands. I mean, this team, as far as that captain role, obviously it's nothing against Haxerin being the captain here, but he just hasn't been it for long, and it just seems like they do miss out on that significant player, so or that significant role even. But 16 minutes into this game right now, obviously things have slowing down in terms of action, but again, I only think that just helps Denial Esports. I mean, this is a push-built team here on the Legion side. They have 0 tower kills at 16 minutes, and even they've given up 2 tower kills themselves, so yeah. There's just so many things that are just speaking for too much sugar, continuing to be in a really, really tough spot. There is a portal key now on Pestilence, so this is another time where let's try to catch them off guard here. Let's use this portal key, get a good fight, push a tower, and all of a sudden gain some momentum, but it's a lot easier said than done. Here we go, the Pestilence jumping on a Tundra. Will this be it? There's the stun from Empath, the counter from Master Vaughn. Tundra's holding his ground. He has an avalanche, he can't get it off though. Boom! Tama's ultimate! It gets everyone! Will it be enough? Follow-up's the question. Scout is trying, Empath, the Tundra buyback. Balfagor holding his ground. He has Hell on Newerth. He is silenced though. He's gonna drop before the Hell on Newerth beef. GG,
wow, that's it.
GG,
that is it right there. 17 minutes into this game, Breaky. Denial able to stop the push before losing a single tower. Balfagor, Pollywog Priest, Ophelia, not a single tower down, Breaky. I mean, you can't play it any better than that. They won the lanes that they needed to. They responded appropriately with perfect map control, and then they deflected every bit of that aggression. I was going to say right before that team fight, we're talking about TMSR. They're down. They could still definitely take a tower and then come back, and then, okay, you're going to lock down Balfagor. No Hell on Newerth. A 5-man elemental void. Like, oh my God, it was insane.
It was such a perfect start, too, because Tundra died before doing anything. The avalanche didn't go off. They had the start that they looked for. The Balfagor got those charges up. Again, though, the silence from Scout is what it was. I still think that's such an underrated. Obviously, it's used quite a bit, but was it level 4? Can you check the Scout Electric? It was level 4.
Yeah.
So that's a what, 6-second silence, I believe. Yeah, 6-second silence right there, 5 or 6. Anyways, the point being, it's long. Balfagor was not able to get off the Hell. If he got off the Hell of Newerth, perhaps a different fight right there. He could not get it off though, and obviously his laps coming through with a big Tempest ultimate. That was just beautiful right there. And in the end, again, Denial Esports, they take game number 1. What a statement though. But I also look back at the beginning of that game, the laning phase specifically. The top lane, when Empath blocked that camp right there, I really think that was that little thing that kind of set the tone. Absolutely. Because when that happened, Ophelia, she tried to go to another camp, she got blocked out by Tempest. She had to go all the way to her own jungle. Her start was Horde. The top lane then just became a dual lane instead of an aggressive tri-lane. It kind of fell apart from there to an extent. I think that right there was arguably the biggest play of the game early on.
Ophelia, definitely one of those heroes that does become a little bit delicate. She has a dedicated window when she's going to be able to actually get something done. And if she's not able to meet each one of those criteria and then just keep on moving on in her progression. Get that level 5, 2 minions, knock a tower down, get level 7, get your Astrolabe. None of those things were happening for Tankafet. Continued to have a very struggling time throughout the game, and it really did just show as TMSR unable to knock anything down. This brings it back to really the best of 3 series here, Breaky, where TMSR took a risk. They went with something kind of a little bit cheesier at the beginning. They go from here. Do they have to go back to
They have to.
Standard?
You go back to standard. I mean, there's no questions asked. And, real quick, though, as we saw right there when the footage was on Denial, Swindlemel, who would have thought? Swindlemelons is sitting behind Zlapt, kind of talking over that game right there and perhaps talking about strategy. we came into this tournament basically saying Swindle Mountain's lap, they're not getting along. And there they are, seeming like best friends talking about strategies.
You know what,
in the
Ricky?
series. But guess who they're playing against?
There you go. All the animosity in the world between Swindle and Slapped can be overcome by Swindle's desire to see TMSR lose.
Yeah.
It comes down to that. Not to generate any more drama here, but
hey,
they definitely have a little bit of a history right there, and it comes back to Dream Arena last time Han was on that stage. Maybe the animosity showing right there. But anyway, Breaky, going into Game 2, TMSR's got to win 2 in a row or they're done.
Well, like you said, it's back to basics here, but the teams might even be ready here in the very near future. So we got to take a quick break, right? A quick commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, holy crap, what a way to start off day number 3 in a crazy exciting match, very quick match, but Denial eSports, they're one game away from going to the grand finals, from going to the arena here at Dreamhack Winter 2013. Will TMSR force the third game, or will this be it? Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back. Game number 2 coming up next.
You still won't